Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing today? Happy Wednesday. Okay, so I was going to film outside and then I realized how cold it was earlier today. And so I was like, I don't think I'm gonna film my vlog outside. And then I just went outside because it seems like it's gotten colder and colder as the day has gone on, and it's supposed to snow tonight, which I'm very excited about. I think it's gonna be our 4th snow so far this year, which is a lot more than we usually get. It's not supposed to come until later tonight, like till like 10:30 or 11 tonight. It's not supposed to be tons, but enough, and it's cold, so it'll stay. But I just went outside to get the white pumpkin and throw it in the trash because it's time for the pumpkin to go. And my neighbor across the street, when I came home from Cousin Fun Day, she was throwing her pumpkins out, and I was like, okay, so I gotta remember to throw my pumpkin out. And I went out there and I was like, well, it's not that cold. I could sit outside, but Alex isn't home yet. So I thought, I'm gonna sit inside and I'm gonna make a cup of coffee and I'm gonna light a candle and be inside in the warmth, inside and vlog. And then if he gets home earlier, I don't think he's supposed to be home until like 5 or 5:30. Currently right now it is 4:22 p.m. If he gets home earlier, then I will finish up the vlog outside. But yeah, so I had planned today that when I got back from Cousin Fun Day that I was going to film like a drama video. I have the whole list right here. That I was going to film a drama video. I had a Peterisms video, a review video, Peter Does Stuff video, and a TV video. So the only one that I wasn't going to film was my BookTube channel video. But I got up today. So this morning was crazy, and I'll get to that in just a second. And I didn't get very much sleep at all. Like, I'm probably going right now on like 2.5 hours of sleep. Weirdly, though, I don't feel... I'm tired, but I don't feel super exhausted. Like, I'm ready for a nap, but I don't feel like I can't go on. If it wasn't so late, I probably would film some videos. But Caroline texted me this morning, and she was supposed to be here at like 12:20, and she said she was going to be here at like 1:20, 1:30 instead. And so I was like, you know what? Depending on what time I get back, I don't think I'll probably film any videos. And so we got back about 4 o'clock, and I was like, I think I'm just going to film my vlog today and just take a day. And I, just kind of like rest my mind a little bit and whatever. And then tomorrow, film videos, and I also have a BookTube video. So depending on what time I get up tomorrow, I may be filming videos on all of my channels tomorrow, because I have a BookTube video that I want to film as well. I have a huge haul that I want to do over there. But books keep on coming, and I bought another book today at Costco, another James Patterson book. But the books just keep on coming, so I have a huge haul that I want to do over there. I've kind of been trying to wait until all the books come before I do the haul, but I think the last ones, I have 2 more coming, and I think they're supposed to come tonight. So if they come tonight, then I will do the book haul tomorrow. If not, then I'll do it on Friday. But... So yeah, so I have videos to make on all my channels tomorrow. But today I thought, you know what, I'm just going to take a little bit of a break and whatever. I'm not going to rush and try to film a bunch of videos in a short amount of time and all that kind of stuff. So I just want to sit inside and enjoy vlogging and talk to you guys. Sometimes when I am like trying to like just lit the candle, this is actually a different candle. I lit this last night. This is Red Apple Wreath by Yankee. Sometimes when I get home from Cousin Fun Day, if I get home early enough, it's easy to make videos. But like, if Alex is going to be home at 5 o'clock, then I'm like rushing to make videos and get them up and whatever. Because I like to get them all up, or at least most of them uploading before I go outside and vlog. So anyway, it's actually supposed to be, I think, warmer the next couple days. So I will be able to return outside and vlog the next couple days. Let's actually look at the weather and see what it's supposed to be like the next couple days. So currently it says it's 43 degrees. I was vlogging outside when it was 26 degrees. There's no way it's 43. It says 43 with a rain shower. And then tonight there's a special weather statement. And it says snow showers may result in locally hazardous travel conditions later this evening. Rain and snow showers this evening will transition to snow showers and perhaps a few snow squalls tonight across much of central Indiana. So... yeah, I guess, I don't know why. Maybe it was colder earlier. If I go into hourly, it won't go back and show the hours. But it's kind of windy today. That is the thing. So it's kind of a little bit windy outside, so maybe that's why it seems colder. 11, it's going to go from down to 30. Oh, tonight it's going to get down to, it's going to get down to 13 degrees tonight. So it's going to be pretty cold tonight. And it shows on here that it's supposed to snow. Well, it's only actually showing on here from like 9 to 11. That doesn't mean anything. Okay, let's see what tomorrow is. Oh, tomorrow is supposed to be 23 of a high. Oh, that's going to be real. I thought it was supposed to warm up, Tanya said. Tomorrow, some clouds in the morning will give way to sunny skies for the afternoon, 23 degrees. And then Friday, 30. Saturday, high of 41. Oh, then Sunday and Monday, 52. And then back next week, cold a little bit. And then by next weekend, 50. So we're kind of going up and going down. This is Indiana winter. So anyway, well, whatever. If I have to finish the vlog outside, then we'll know it's not super cold outside and we'll light the candles out there. But for right now, I'm going to sit inside and be all cozy and warm. So I kind of have a story to tell you guys of something that happened, kind of something spiritual. I know that when I tell this story, I'm going to get a lot of kind of mixed reactions from people. So, you know, there's a part of me that's kind of hesitant to share this story for many different reasons. But I feel compelled to share this story. And it may be complete coincidence and it may mean nothing at all. So I just want to say that. So last night I got done vlogging, took a shower, and got ready, and then Alex ran me over to Tanya's house, and we went to the meeting last night. It was packed. There were tons of people at the meeting last night. And so, so we separate into small groups. And so we separate into like three groups last night, and then like a beginner's group. And so we sit in different, we used to sit in different areas, and now it's like people go off into separate rooms. And so, the group that I was in last night, the topic that was brought up was about the 11th step, which is about prayer and meditation and conscious contact with your higher power. And heard a lot of good stuff, heard a lot of things that I've shared through the years, talked about God moments, talked about God moments are like when things happen, you're like, oh, like that's a sign from God kind of thing. Like that's a God moment, like, right? You know, I talk in my videos a lot about... What I'm going to share is probably going to surprise some people. This is just my truth of where I'm at right now. So, anyway, got to me last night. And I kind of I've always been taught in recovery to just tell myself. And telling on yourself in recovery is telling where you're at. It's like sharing where you're at in your life. To not, there was, you know... years where I would come in and I would say what I thought sounded right or, you know, whatever. And it was just wasted breath, in all honesty. I wish I had learned that earlier. My sponsor said it to me, Tanya said it to me in the past, you know, you gotta years and years ago is something that I learned, that you just tell yourself, you share where you're at, you know, and what's going on, that that's the purpose of sharing with somebody else. And so I would say for probably the last 20 years, that's what I've done is, you know, or since I've been coming back to meetings. So the last, I don't know, was it 12, 13 years at this point, I've been really sharing where I'm at. And just if I'm in a great mood, I share that I'm in a great mood. If I have some, a personal story to share, I share that. If I'm struggling, I share that. And so last night, the topic of basically conscious contact with our higher power came up. Basically having conversations, prayer, meditation, and things like that. There's a lot of discussion in 12-step meetings about the idea of meditation, and I think a lot of people think, and I thought for years and years and years that meditation as defined by 12-step programs is meant to be like Zen Buddhism, meditation kind of stuff, and that's not really actually what it means. And I didn't learn this till years later, that one of my sponsors said that when the basic text was written, that the translation of meditation at that time would have been deep thought. So that really prayer, meditation, and recovery translates to praying to your higher power, and then meditation would be deep thought of listening to what your higher power is saying back to you. And that's the conscious conversation that you have, as it's been explained to me by several people. I can remember, in early sobriety thinking that I had to be all Zen, and I couldn't do that because my mind, is a mile a minute. So I've shared a lot recently on here about... I really thought before getting on this vlog today, do I really want to go in and share this stuff? People are going to think I'm crazy. People that are very spiritual are going to be like, what's going on with you? Are you losing sight? And all this kind of stuff. But this is just where I'm at in my life. And so, I'm just going to talk it all the way through. So, I've talked a lot on here recently about, you know, really struggling, grieving, changing, feeling like a new period of my life is coming, but being scared of that, not really knowing what that looks like, being very unsure. I mean, for me to specifically talk about all this kind of stuff, this would literally be a 3-hour conversation, which I know some of you guys are like, 3-hour vlog? No, it's not going to be a 3-hour vlog today. But for me to share my experience of what I went through on my spiritual journey, all the way back to, I can remember, you know, in early years of sobriety where I really struggled with the God concept thing. You know, I grew up going to church, and I didn't go to, like, you know, I hear a lot of people in recovery talk about going to, like, churches that were, like, condemning and things like that, judgmental. I didn't go to a condemning, judgmental church. I went to my church isn't even open anymore, but it was our Redeemer Lutheran, and it was a very open-minded church. It was a very loving, compassionate church. That was the church that I grew up in. I never felt condemned. I never felt judged, but not even when I knew that I was gay did I feel like that ever. And I didn't really have any bad experiences with church. I don't share that experience with other people. But I never felt like I internalized any kind of concept with a higher power. Like I can remember being in high school, and I've shared this before, where there was a lot of people that I went to high school with that were all part of this, like, youth group. And it was huge in our town. I think it's still huge today. And like, I think it was like the junior year they would go to classes. Like, it was like 5 or 6, 7 churches all combined, this youth group. And so, like, the junior year, like, everybody is either, I think it was a sophomore, I think it was a junior year. Like, all the people that were in this youth group would go to, like, these classes, like, once or twice a week. And then after their junior year, they all went and, like, they did this trip where they, like, walked in, like, the same steps that, like, Jesus walked in and things like that. And so I would be in classes with a lot of these people, and I didn't go to a private school. I went to a public school, so it's bizarre that these conversations were being had. But I can remember people in class, like, talking to each other and saying, like, you have to trust Jesus and things like that as, you know, your Lord and whatever. And I just was like, I think these people are a bunch of phonies. Like how do they, like, because I never internalized any kind of spiritual belief for myself, right? And I just thought, these people are phonies. Like, do they really have some burning bush moment and whatever? So carry over to that, like, I've always been what I would define as agnostic, where I knew and I felt in my heart that there was something bigger than me, but I didn't know what it really was. And so I wouldn't have said that I was an atheist, where I didn't believe that there was, like, anything out there, like my husband. I just felt, I knew there was something, but I didn't know what it was. And so I can remember in early sobriety, there's literature, or in our literature, it says, like, God either is or he isn't. And I can remember, like, I think it was my second sponsor, like, threw down the book and was like, because I was like, but what if this, and what if that, and what if this, and what if that, and, you know, our second and third step is very much based in, like, God concepts, you know, and, like, the second step came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. That has nothing to do with drugs, okay? That is to do with sanity and our lives. And the third decision is made a decision to turn our life and our will over to the care of God as we understood him. A lot of people say or her or it or whatever. Incidentally, for those of you that don't know about 12-step programs, the first step in any 12-step program is the only one that addresses whatever issue that person, like the 12-step program. So, like, in, you know, like, alcohol or drugs or whatever, it's only the first step that says that. The rest of the steps have nothing to do with that. I think that's really important to understand. I think a lot of people think that 12-step programs are about getting people to stop using. We learn that using is but a symptom of our disease, of deeper issues going on. So I really struggled with this God concept then, because I was like, if I am going to turn my life and my will, not just my addiction, but my entire life, my will and everything, okay, over to something, then I have to have a pretty clear vision of what that looks like. So that was early sobriety, and I can remember my sponsor being like, God either is or he isn't, throwing the book down. I was like, he is, you know, just was like, whatever. I can believe that there's something. And so we had this conversation about it. He was like, you know, like, let's just hold on to that concept for a while, that you know that there's something out there, but you don't know what it is, right? And I can, you know, a lot of people would say things like, you know, maybe the group at large is a power greater than yourself. That didn't really work for me. Other people would say, like, doorknobs did. I've heard that a million times. Doorknobs do not feel spiritual to me. That didn't work for me. But I do remember that I had somebody that said to me one time, like, pick up that couch. I think it was a sponsor of mine. And I was like, can you pick up that couch? And I was like, no. They're like, by yourself, you can't pick up that couch. And I was like, no. And then he said to me, like, but do you think that you and I could pick up that couch together? And I was like, yeah, we could probably pick up that couch and move it together. And he was like, so you and I are power greater than yourself. And I was like, yeah. And he goes, well, that's kind of how God works. That with God, you can achieve more than you can achieve by yourself. That was kind of like one thing that really helped me on my path to learning about what spirituality meant to me. In 12-step programs, it's not, a lot of the language that's in the text sounds very biblical, but it's not, we're non-denominational. So, I mean, that's really discouraged in 12-step programs where you say things like, even Jesus, it's kind of like people would like time you out and be like, we don't do that in here. Like it's, everybody has their own belief system. And I think that that was one of the things that was very comforting to me, was that nobody was going to tell me what I had to believe in. Like Tanya says all the time, like if she came in there and somebody told her what she had to believe, she wouldn't be sober today. And I think that that's really important, you know, that the idea that I could come up with what worked for me, you know? And it's not necessarily like you just come up with an idea out of the air, like I believe in pink fairies and that's my God. It's like what feels right to you in your heart, like what resonates with you, what feels spiritual. We talk about spiritual experiences. And when you have those spiritual experiences, does that lean you into the point of the direction of a higher power? And like for me, my higher power is a lot about peace, serenity, kindness, compassion, understanding, forgiveness, you know, and things like that, love. And so over time, I started to like see what things meant and didn't, like things that felt right, you know, like I've shared this story before that I was at a meeting in early sobriety and I got up and went to the back of the meeting and I started smoking a cigarette and this woman came back and she gave me a hug and I like reached out my hand and she goes, oh no, baby, we hug at this meeting. And she gave me this big hug. This woman forever changed my life. I don't even know who she is. And I mean, I don't know where she is today. I haven't seen her in years. And she said, why did you leave the meeting? I was probably 30, 60 days sober at this point. And I said, because they're just talking about a lot of God stuff. And because they were saying God this and God that. And I was like, I didn't want to hear it. You know, it felt very cultish to me. And she was like, is that what you heard? And I was like, yeah, because that's what they were talking about. And she was like, baby, take what you like and leave the rest. And that meant so much to me that I could pick and choose what resonated with me. That's why when people say to me, why is it so important for you to say that you're a spiritual person, not a religious person? It's very important for me to understand that. I don't condemn anybody that is religious. My mother was a very religious person. She was a woman of very strong faith, but I don't necessarily think that faith has anything to do with religion either. I don't judge anybody for their religious beliefs as long as their religious beliefs aren't hurting people or anything like that. You know, somebody said to me not long ago, like on a video, I said something about religious freedom, and they said, as long as it doesn't hurt somebody. And I was like, and they were like, how do you make sense of that? I don't know. I think that people have a right to their religious beliefs. I feel like I don't judge people for their religious beliefs as long as their religious beliefs don't condemn or hurt people that I love in my life. That's how I feel about it. I don't know if that doesn't make sense to other people, but it makes sense to me. And I think that we kind of know the difference between that, you know, when you see like wackadoodle religious groups that, you know what I'm saying. So anyway, at about 2 years sober was when I really went on like the spiritual journey. And I remember my sponsor at the time was like, what's your biggest fear? And I was like, my biggest fear is death. And he was like, okay, find a book that will help you through that fear. I don't know why, but I picked Sylvia Browne's The Other Side and Back. And I loved it. And I know she's probably a fake psychic and whatever, but I was so disappointed when I found out she was fake. I joke about it in my drama videos, but like that book forever changed me. It talked about spirit guides and it talked about soul groups and it talked about having a blueprint for our life and that there's a lot of things that we choose when we're here, but a lot of things are that before we come here, a lot of the things that it said, okay, whether you believe it or not, resonated with me. That's just the point of it. But that put me on kind of like this journey, right? Where I started reading like a lot of religious text from a lot of different religious backgrounds. I read things to do with Christianity. I read, you know, parts of The Way of the Pilgrim, and I read that my mom, because my mom loved that book, and I read, my mom had this book for years that she loved called Living Buddha, Living Christ. I read a lot about Buddhism. I read a lot about Hinduism. I read a lot about, you know, Islam and Judaism and things like that. And I just took what I liked and I left the rest. And the interesting thing was that a lot of the concepts that I liked throughout all those religious beliefs were things like love, compassion, kindness, forgiveness, and also the idea that we're never alone, you know? That we're born with God and we die with God, but we're never alone. And for 30 years, I felt that way. Well, for 29 years, I would say I felt that way. In the last, I would say, 6 weeks, I pray, I meditate, I have very conscious conversations with God, sometimes out loud. God, you know, what's going on today, blah, blah, blah. I mean, that's how I talk to God. And for a very, very long time, I had a very strict regimen of what I did every night. Did my prayers, meditations, gratitude lists. There were certain prayers that I said. I did an inventory every night. That's a very spiritual inventory about, have you been kind today? Have you been this? Have you done that? Like, you know, all these things. And I did this every single day. And I started to realize that I didn't feel like when I listened that there was anybody speaking to me. And it was the first time in my life, about 6 weeks ago, and it had a lot to do with Boo, where I felt like I was talking to God, but I didn't know if God was there anymore. It was a scary feeling for me, in all honesty. It was a very scary feeling for me. You know, I've talked a lot about the 4 years that I didn't go to meetings. During that time, I had no spiritual foundation. Having no spiritual foundation was almost worse than having no emotional sobriety, because I didn't feel like anybody had my back. You know, I'm not talking about people in your life that have your back. I'm talking about when you have a spiritual experience with a higher power and you no longer feel like that exists. To me, at that time, there didn't feel like there was any accountability. I was angry, I was pissed off, I was sad, and I didn't really have anywhere to go with that. I think it's one of the reasons why when I came back into going to meetings, finding that spiritual foundation for me, and it was 100 times stronger than it had ever been before, was so important for me. And then, when Tucker passed away that night, I went to a meeting. It was after the accident. It was my first meeting back to my home group. And I brought up the accident, and I brought up, because, like I said, I have been taught that you share where you're at and what you're going through, and I can remember just, like, bawling my eyes out in this meeting, you know, and just, like, this is the thing that's hard, right? Like I talked about this last night. Just to keep it very, very real, okay? I know that there are people that have as much time as I do in sobriety that go back out there. I know that is a possibility for me. It doesn't feel like an option for me today, okay? It doesn't feel like drinking or drugging is an option for me today. Not today. I don't know. I can't say for tomorrow. But today and last night, it doesn't feel like an option. Not being here anymore does not feel like an option either. It never has in my life. So for an alcoholic and an addict, and if you've ever been there, you'll know what I'm talking about. When those seem like your two options, the only other option is that you just are kind of stuck in misery or you work through it. Well, when you no longer feel like you have any kind of like higher power to lean on, it's like you feel very alone in the world. Okay, even with Alex, even with my sponsor, even with my therapist, Tanya, there's a piece that feels very alone. And I think that this is really what I've been struggling with. That last night coming to this meeting, like, it's just like, it was like I was sitting in the right group, the right topic came up, and I just shared where I was at. When the night that Tucker passed away, which was when I went to the meeting and I shared everything that was going on, and then I, you know, came out of the meeting and Alex had called a bunch of times, and that was the night that Tucker passed away. In that meeting, I talked about what was going on and that I didn't know where God was in any of this stuff, you know? Like, where's God in this accident? Where's God in all this kind of stuff? I had a friend of mine years ago. There's a saying in recovery, I think I just shared this yesterday, the day before, that says that God never gives us more than we can handle in a day. And I had a friend of mine years ago say, after all the years of believing that, I'll never forget, he said, no, it's not that God never gives us more than we can handle in a day. God gives us a lot of shit that we can't handle in a day. But with God, we can get through everything. And that, like, changed everything for me, you know? And then God moments would happen and, you know, all this kind of stuff. And so I always kind of felt like, I don't know, I just felt like God was always there looking over my shoulder is how I felt. I haven't felt that way in 6 weeks. I feel very spiritually empty right now. And it's hard. It's really hard because I try. Like, I still do the prayers. I still do the meditations, you know? And, like, it helps a little bit. But, like, how I felt in high school, where I didn't internalize it, I'm starting to feel like that again. Or I felt like that for a while. The night that Tucker passed away, I shared a lot of what was going on. And a friend of mine talked about the wheelbarrow analogy, which I've talked a lot about over here. And the wheelbarrow analogy is basically, there's a lot of different versions of it. There's a version where it's a guy and his wife on the Niagara Falls. There's a version, the version I heard is there's a guy in the Grand Canyon. And the guy is on this tightrope, going over the tightrope with a wheelbarrow. And this guy is watching him. And he goes over the tightrope in the wheelbarrow and he comes back. And he says to the guy, he says, do you believe that I can go over the tightrope in the wheelbarrow? And the guy looks at him and says, what do you mean, do I believe you? He goes, do you believe that I can make it over and back in the tightrope over the Grand Canyon? And the guy goes, of course I believe you. You just did it. I just saw you do it. And he goes, okay. He goes, do you have faith that I can do it? And the guy looks at him and he was like, I guess. He was like, I mean, I just saw you do it, so I guess I have faith. And the guy looks at him and says, then get in the wheelbarrow. And belief is having a belief in something. Faith is putting yourself in that belief. It was so profound to me that night. So get out of the meeting, whole ordeal with Tucker, come back here. I took Boo Radley out that night, and I'm like outside, and I'm just bawling. And I'm like, you know, God, like for a very long time, I haven't been in the wheelbarrow. And I'm like putting myself in the wheelbarrow because I can't say I believe but try to control things at the same time. I can't do that. Like I can't, you know, it's like my sponsor always says you don't get to pick your agnosticism. You can't say God is in some things and not in others. Like God is going to help you get through anything, right? If you really have faith. And I didn't for a long time. You know, I was really like fucked up in the head. Having gone through the accident and everything, it just felt like, I don't know, I just didn't know what to do with any of it. And things started to get better and things started to change and I started, like my faith started to really improve. And I would say the last 6 weeks to 2 months, I've just felt really low. And when I pray, unlike before where I felt better, I don't really feel any better. And, when I talk to God, I don't really feel like I hear anything in return. I don't know if you've ever been there, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's really like, since I've been a very spiritual person, and I consider myself a very spiritual person, it's really the first time that I've ever felt that way. Where you're like standing out on a deserted road shouting for help and nobody hears you, is how I feel. So I shared this all in the meeting last night, and I shared that in almost 30 years of sobriety, I'm closer to atheism now than I've ever been in 52 years of my life. Not agnosticism, atheism. Because I'm like, I don't really know. I'm lonely. I'm sad. I'm angry. It's not just about self-care. It's not just about go out and be around people. It's not just about this and just about that, right? Like, those are all Band-Aids and they will help things in the long run. But if I don't have a spiritual foundation, then the real question is, what's it all for? So it actually felt good. I got it all out. I talked about that. I said, you know, for 30 years I've been sitting, you know, here and heard some people say, every day I get up and I say the same prayer, and I did those things. I said, if at 30 years I'm still saying the same prayer and I'm not getting anything in return, it's time to change the prayer. It's time to change. Like, I was talking about pivoting the other day. It's time to start looking at, what are you doing, Peter, spiritually? Like, this is not working. You need to try something different. Maybe you need to go back on a spiritual journey. Maybe you need to, I don't know, something. Something needs to change, because what you're putting out there, you're not getting anything in return. And the thing that's really hard about it is that I do believe in a higher power, okay? And I'm even in the wheelbarrow. But now I'm finding myself fearful of going across the tightrope, because I'm not feeling like I'm really sure that God's going to catch me, is how I feel, or how I have felt. But often, when I share in meetings or to my sponsor or in therapy or whatever, and I just get it out and I vent, I feel so much better afterwards. I mean, so many people came up, the camera stopped at the 30-minute mark. So many people came up to me last night and were so nice, and they were like, thank you for, sharing from your heart, and blah, 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 whatever. People were, I mean, my friends were so sweet. People that I didn't even know came up to me and said really nice stuff. And Tanya and I talked about it on the way home, and she's like, I think it's really great that you got that out there, like you needed to share that. Because it's the one thing that I really haven't, like, really addressed fully. I feel lonely. I'm not doing good self-care. I'm grieving. But on top of that, the biggest thing for me is, and I think I've almost been kind of afraid to say it out loud, because if I say it out loud, then it makes it real. And if it makes it real, then what do I do with it? The biggest thing out of all of it is, I don't know where God is. I was talking to people last night about God moments, and it's like, God moments are great when things are going well in your life, and you're like, oh, there's a rainbow, that's God, or, oh my God, I was thinking of my mom, and a song came on this, reminded me of her, and maybe it's coincidence, and maybe it's God moments, I don't know. But when you're going through shitty times in your life, and no God moments show up, none at all, it feels very alone. When you pray on things, and I am a believer in prayer, and I'm not talking about fix this, fix that, but like my mom taught me, because years ago I can remember talking to her about praying for this relationship to work, and she's like, oh, sweetheart, that's not what we pray for. We pray for faith to get us through this, or, endurance, or, patience, or, compassion, or understanding. Those are the things that we pray for. But when you're praying for even those things, and you can't find them, and you're doing the work, and you're doing inventory, and you're making gratitude lists, and you don't feel like you're getting anything in return, it feels very lonely. And the only other option that you can go to then, after 30 years of doing this, is maybe there isn't a God. Then maybe there isn't a God. Maybe there's no point to any of this, there's no purpose to any of this. Maybe, maybe it's right, maybe they're all right that say that there is no God, And that's where I was last night when I went to this meeting. I was very excited to go to the meeting. I was happy to see my friends, see Tanya. I didn't know that this topic was going to come up. If I had sat in a different group, I probably would be talking about something different today, because I don't think I was at a point where I was ready to talk about it. But I did, and I needed to. So Tanya and I talked about it on the way home, stopped at the gas station, got a fountain pop. As soon as I got it out, I felt a lot better. I have a very dear friend of mine that was sitting in there with me, and his life does not look pretty. And he's gone through, he's probably 10 years older than me. We got sober around the same time. He has gone through horrific shit in his life. I've gone through bad stuff. His life looks horrific compared to mine. And he came up to me afterwards, and he was like, you still have my number, I want you to use it. He was like, because I get where you're coming from. He's like, I get when you're standing there and you feel like, where is God? Like, I'm trying to be the best person I can be. Where's God? God seems to be showing up for him and her. Where's God? And he's like, I've been there. He shared some very personal things with me, and it was really helpful. And kind of how we got back on track a little bit. So, and one of the things he said to me was, have you laid it all out for God? And I said, what do you mean? And he was like, have you, you pray, you do this, but have you, literally, because I have a lot of, like I said, conscious conversations with God where I'm like, hey, God, blah, blah, blah. He's like, have you laid it out to God? Hey, God, I'm not sure you're there anymore, and I'm afraid that I'm losing my faith and my belief. And I was like, no, not really. He goes, you're afraid to, aren't you? He's like, but that fear indicates that you still have a lot of faith and belief. Because if you weren't afraid, I'm kind of afraid to piss off God, if that makes sense, right? He was right. He's like, you need to lay it all out on the line for God and just, So came home last night, laid down, took a nap with Alex. He was watching some shows and stuff, so I took a nap, got up. At midnight, I read my Christmas books. I was very calm, very relaxed. I almost felt better having just gotten it out. And, I think I should probably share this piece of it. The last time that I really, I don't really pray for stuff. Ever. Like I said, I pray for understanding, compassion. But Booze last night, I took him outside when things were starting to get bad. crying and was like, God, please help him. Because, I mean, I just was so distraught. I don't know if God's answer to that was that it was booze time. I don't know, but like, it felt like in that moment, and I know this is stupid, and I'm sure a lot of people relate to this with having lost loved ones, not just animals. It's like I went through this this is what I've been kind of hinting at a little bit when I said like a lot of the feelings are similar with my mom. When my mom passed away, I was pissed at God. It was the only rational sense of thing I could make. Like, God, why would you do this? Why would you take this one person away from me that I have the deepest relationship with, that I love the most in the entire world? Well, that makes no sense. Well, I don't think that God's in that action. I don't think that God was in the action of Boo Radley being sick. I don't believe that. I used to believe that. I used to believe that God was in every little moment. I don't believe that. I don't think God is responsible for car accidents. I don't think God is responsible for chronic illness. I don't think God is responsible for people taking their last breaths tonight and stuff like that. I don't believe that. I don't think that God's in that any more than God's in successes and wins. I don't. I believe in prayer, but I think that prayer collectively, or positive affirmation, helps us find understanding, find compassion, find solidarity, find, I don't know, empathy or strength to get through things. That was pivotal for me years ago when I changed that whole thing. Tanya went through something very difficult in her life, and she and I would talk about God moments all the time, and God was in this and God was in that. And she went through something very difficult and lost somebody very close to her. And she said, I just don't believe that. This was years ago, 15 years ago. She said, I just don't believe that. I don't believe that God is in horrible shit that happens in this world. I can't believe that. I can't believe that there's a God in that, right? And it kind of changed everything I looked at. So, but for me, that kind of was like, I don't know. So I came home last night, took a nap, got up, read my Christmas books, read my James Patterson book. Very calm, very collected. It was nice. Very demure. No, it was nice. And I felt better having gotten all that out. And I watched 1,000 Pound Best Friends. I finished season 1. I started season 2 last night. I love that show so much. I love that show. I'm kind of afraid to say who I like in case in season 2 and 3, like, things change. But in season 1, Vanessa, you want to talk about being vulnerable and real. I mean, she goes in this therapist's office and she shares some shit that she wasn't going to share with another human being. I mean, this show makes 1,000 Pound Sister or Sister Wives. This show is so real. These women are so real in this show. I love this 1,000 Pound Best Friends. I don't know if it changes in season 2 and 3, but I love this show. So anyway, watched the show, stayed up, finally went to bed, and I was laying in bed for like half an hour, 40 minutes, could not fall asleep. Drank my sleep tea, everything, could not fall asleep. My mind was just spinning with everything I was thinking about earlier at the meeting and whatever. So Alex gets up, he's like looking at stuff on his phone. He gets up, he gets ready, he leaves for work about 7:30. I'm now in bed about 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 15 minutes or something like that. I am like wide awake. So Alex leaves for work, I'm laying there, I'm tossing, I'm turning. First of all, our bedding, which I love now, is very hot. It's flannel with this fleece blanket, which I don't know that I love the fleece blanket, so it might have to go. Somebody recommended we put the deer comforter on top of it. Okay, it's cold, it's not that cold. We keep our house between 70 and 72. But it was so hot last night. Alex had like all the blankets off of him. I don't usually, like, I like to have the blankets over me and then kick one leg out and stuff like that. It was so hot. I was so uncomfortable last night. I just could not get to sleep. The only thing that was helping me was the bamboo sheets. Like I said last night, but early this morning. So about 8:30 now, I've been laying there, you know, for 3.5 hours. I'm just tossing and turning. Sun comes up, you know, it's up, and I can see it. It's like light in the room. And I'm like in my head. And so I just laid there. And everything I shared in the meeting, I started talking. I said, God, I do not know where you are. I feel very lost. I feel very alone. And when I say that, I am surrounded. Like, the hard thing for me, and I talked about this the other day, was that, and I actually shared this in the meeting last night, that gratitude is a fantastic thing, you know? But I think that I always go to gratitude in a way that I never allow myself to fully feel a feeling. And I think that's dangerous sometimes. I think it's important to feel through your feelings. But I feel like if I do, then it's a little bit self-pity. And so I don't want to go into self-pity, so I go to gratitude. But gratitude sometimes, which is a great resource and tool for me, and I love gratitude, and I believe it's an action, it sometimes stops me from feeling the feeling all the way through, if that makes sense. So, you know, I just said everything. I said, I don't know where you are. I feel like when I speak to you and I listen, I don't hear anything back. I mean, back in the day, if I would pray on something, like I felt things. Like I felt like I would wake up and I'd be like, okay, I feel, I don't know, like it was almost kind of like an internal voice. Like I felt like, okay, I feel like this is what I'm supposed to do, or this is what I'm supposed to do. Not that I always took that voice as advice, but I felt that way, you know, be more loving in the situation, be more kind, do this, do that. I'm sure some of you guys were relating to that. And so I did feel like God was speaking to me. I felt like God was speaking to me through other people. I felt like God was speaking to me in music sometimes, or things that would happen. Those are what I call God moments. But I sometimes would hear God in other people, or music, or things that I needed to hear at that time. But I still felt like I heard God. I haven't felt like that lately. And so I said all of this last night, or laying in bed 8:30 this morning. And I'm like sobbing. And I'm like, God, I was like, and I talked about the God moments thing. Because I loved God moments back in the day. You know, like when something happened, I mean, Tanya and I'd be like, oh my God, that's a God moment. You know, or like, you know, you'd be like, have this ongoing argument with somebody, and then out of the blue, I get a text, and they'd be like, hey, can we talk? Like, I miss you. And I'd be like, oh my God, that's such a God moment thing. Maybe it's coincidence. Maybe it's a God moment. Maybe God's not in any of that. I don't know. But I lay there and I said it all. And I said, you know, like, I need something. Like, I don't even know if, like, Boo and Tucker and Pee-Pee are okay. Like, maybe that's a starting point. If I knew that Boo and Tucker and Pee-Pee were okay, like, I mean, I have this vision of them living in this house with my mom. Maybe it's all made up. I'm sure it is, right? But I was like, if something, just some sign, you know, like, and so, I don't know. I just was like, I need a sign. I need like a God moment. I even talked about that in the meeting last night. I was like, I need a burning bush, but obviously, like, that doesn't happen. I was reading something the other day, or I saw it in a movie where somebody was talking about miracles, and it was like, we don't acknowledge miracles anymore because so many miracles happen every day that, like, we just have kind of gotten used to them. And when the miracles happen, it's like we just kind of ignore them, you know? When a lot of miracles that, if they happened 2,000 years ago, people would have been like, that's a miracle. But today we don't look at it that way, right? So, up on the mantle, we have Pee-Pee's picture, Boo Radley's picture, and Tucker's picture. We have their box of ashes, and then we have a paw print, okay, up there. Boo Radley's went up, what was that, 3 weeks ago? We haven't touched that mantle since. Do I have my phone? So I'm sitting in bed, or I'm laying in bed. I fall asleep finally after I pray. I don't know, maybe that helped. I'm laying in bed, or asleep in bed. There's no dogs in this house. Alex has gone at work, and all of a sudden, I wake up because I hear this crash down here. Now, y'all know I watch so much true crime and thrillers and stuff. I'm like, oh my God, is somebody in the house? And I'm like, and I thought maybe Alex came home and to get something or whatever. And I was like, hello, Alex? Because usually, like, when he comes home in the evening, if I'm, like, laying down or whatever, I'll be like, hello? And he'll be like, hello? And I was like, hello, Alex? Nothing, silence. But I had heard this huge crash. It woke me up. Then I was like, was that in my dream? Did I dream that? Did I wake up? I know to a lot of people, this is going to seem like a complete coincidence, and maybe it is. Maybe it's completely insignificant. But I'm holding on to blades of grass at this point, right? So I get up, and now I'm scared. I'm like, is somebody in our house? So I get up, and I go and I look over, because, you know, this is all open. It's a loft. I look over, and at first I'm like, I don't see anything. I'm like, what is going on? Over here on the floor, I took a picture of it because I knew that, like, when I showed Alex, like, he would be like, whatever. And Alex, you know, as an atheist, will be like, well, it's just probably something happened or whatever. I don't even know if I can show you this. So, when I looked, I don't know if you guys will be able to see on this picture or not. Hold on. When I looked, Tucker's picture was there, face up, okay? It fell down. The fact that it's face up is bizarre, okay? Because that means, I don't know how it fell and twisted and turned and landed face up. The paw is right there. And the ashes are completely up, like they just fell straight down, okay? I don't know what, I mean, these three things were not piled on top of each other, okay? Like they were, like, the ashes, and then the thing was, the paw print was next to it, and they were also in between Pee-Pee and Boo Radley's. Neither one of those moved or was touched. So I came down here, like, after I, like, looked, I was like, I mean, I was, like, freaked. Put it back up there, took a picture of it. I'm, like, looking around. It hasn't been dusted. Nothing's been moved. I mean, it's so bizarre to me, and this is almost why I didn't want to share it, because I know people are going to be like, oh, God, Peter, seriously, like, something fell over. If it had happened any other day, and I hadn't had that conversation with God, I don't know. But the fact that I just spilled it all out, and one of the things that I said was, I want a sign. I don't think I said I said I need a sign about Boo and Tucker and Pee-Pee. Like, I don't even know why it was on that. Like, I just felt like I needed a sign. And then that happens. Like, that was so bizarre to me. It wasn't like a book came off the bookshelf. You know, it wasn't like a picture over there turned over. It was like that specifically. And not just a picture on the mantle. I don't even know how the ashes came down and the thing didn't open or anything. I mean, it literally like when I picked it up, I was like, how did it spin around so it landed completely up facing me? Okay? I mean, I don't know how it even fell off that mantle. I mean, it's pushed back far enough that it just, I don't know what happened. The picture, if it fell over, it should have just fallen over like that. It landed face up. I mean, it's so bizarre to me. So anyway, I don't know. Maybe I'm grasping at straws at this point, but maybe that's what I needed. I don't know. I called Tanya and I said, because I was waiting for Caroline to pick me up, I got ready and stuff, then I called Tanya and I said, I've got to tell you what happened because nobody else is going to believe me or care. Now I'm telling all of you. And Tanya's kind of paused and she's like, that is so weird after what happened last night with you talking about all this kind of stuff and really wanting like a sign about Boo and Tucker and Pee-Pee. And she's like, that is so weird. And I said, you know, Tanya, it's probably just a coincidence. It's probably not a God moment or anything like that. And she goes, but maybe it is. And you know, that it's like the faith of a mustard seed, right? That's what I needed. Even if there's no truth to it whatsoever, I needed that, but maybe it is. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't, but maybe it is. And there was something about that happening to me. I don't know. You know, maybe it's just the wind gust or something. There's no wind in here. It restored a little bit of faith for me. It restored something in me that got me back in that wheelbarrow, you know? Like, after that, I prayed, and I was like, God, like, I'm still in the wheelbarrow, like I said this morning, and I feel a little bit better now, you know? And so I wanted to share that with you guys, because it's one piece that I really haven't shared about what I'm going through, that I was kind of going through this spiritual crisis a little bit. And that's scary to me as a person in recovery that has leaned on my spiritual beliefs for, you know, 30 years of my life now, almost, you know? I didn't really firmly have a really higher power concept until about 2 years sober. So about 28 years, but 28 years of my life, I've leaned pretty hard on that, except for the 4 years I wasn't going to meetings, and then I had no spiritual foundation. And when I came back in, I can tell you the one thing that I knew that I needed wasn't just about going to meetings, wasn't just about doing step work. I knew I needed a spiritual foundation. You know? I think it's a spiritual thing that the night that I went home that night, I listened to that, you know, speaker lead, and that woman said, it's hard to fall off the wagon when you're sitting in the middle of it. You have to involve yourself. You have to reach out to people, you know? I remember hearing this other lead early on when I came back in, and this woman was talking about, she had talked to this older woman that had been sober like 30 or 40 years at the time, and she was like, it's like you're sitting on the beach in Hawaii with an umbrella and everybody else is getting the sunlight, but you're stopping the sunlight from the spirit because you're refusing to see that God is all around you. I thought about that today. You know, I thought about the fact that and this is where gratitude does help, right? Because God is in gratitude, I believe. That even though I don't sometimes allow myself to feel, to go all the way through it, God is in a lot. And I do believe this, and a lot of the things, the good things that have happened in the last couple years. I have, like, this is the hard part about it, right? Like, I get on here and I share that, like, I'm lonely and I'm lost and I blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, like, this is where I think when I say this in videos, people don't really understand what Tanya means by this. When I say that Tanya says that you can change your mind in a moment's notice. I can feel that way now, and in 5 minutes from now, I can feel like, but you have an amazing life. Because I do. I have an amazing husband. Our marriage is great. You know, we own our home. No, it's not 5,000 square feet, but it's cozy. We own our home, you know? And our bills are not super expensive. And we have family and friends that we love. And we get to travel. Yeah, sad stuff has happened. Tragic, horrible stuff has happened. But that happens to everybody in life. Maybe not the exact same stuff that I've gone through. But somebody's stuff looks different than mine. That's where you don't compare your journey to somebody else's, right? Like I was talking about yesterday. And I might feel like that from 5 minutes from now. But I think the thing that I've really been struggling with is it's hard to get there when I don't feel like I have God in my corner. And I don't know. I'm not necessarily 100% back there. But I was going in the direction of there is nothing. And that scared the hell out of me. Because I wasn't ready to get out of the wheelbarrow yet. I still was like, I know that there has to be a God, but like, I gotta see something. I gotta feel God. I gotta be able to feel God in what I'm doing. And I know that to a lot of people, this seems like a very religious. This is why, because people that are religious will be like nodding their heads or, no, you're not saying this correctly, you're not saying that correctly, maybe. I don't know. But people that have no spiritual beliefs whatsoever, like, I don't know what this vlog is about. I'm just sharing where I'm at with myself. I'm not trying to turn anybody off. I'm not trying to push anybody away. This is just where I'm at. And, you know, it was explained to me. I was about 18 years sober, I think. 17 or 18 years sober. When I heard this old timer say, old timer, somebody that's been around for like 30 plus years. So I will be an old timer soon. What did Alex just text me? Hold on a second. He's probably on his way home. On my way home now. Say, you know, I had all these different ideas of what a 12-step program was about. And, you know, I need to text him back. And, I had all these different ideas of what I thought a 12-step meeting was about, or 12-step program was about. And I'll never forget this guy, like, dumbed it down so easily. And he was like, the purpose of a 12-step purpose of this program is stop drinking, find God, live a right life, be of service to others. It's that simple. It's a huge part of recovery to have some kind of like higher power, however that is that you define it, you know? If that's the wind or the universe and that's how you define a higher power, that's fine. That's what works for you. I'm just not a person anymore that can live not leaning on something that I felt like has been out there for a long time. And it was scary to me. And I'm hoping that talking in the meeting last night and praying on it today and talking this, that I'm hoping that I'm working through things. That's what this vlog is for me. You know, it's about just sharing with you guys where I'm at. It's not just about necessarily doing pep talks every single day, or not pep talks, press releases every single day, as my mom used to call therapy, where it's just like, yeah, and this is what I did. And this, I mean, some days it's going to be about that, but some days it's important for me to share where I'm at. And this is where I'm at today. And I don't know, if maybe one person out there relates to it, then that's something out there, you know? Anyway, I wanted to share with you guys where I'm at. So that was my strange moment that I had today. That is either 100% fully a God moment or 100% coincidence. Today I'm choosing to feel like it was a little bit of a God moment because I was really needing one. And I'm thankful for it. So if it was a random mouse that was, you know, I haven't seen any mice in here recently, but if it was a mouse or the wind or whatever, I'm thankful for that mouse or that wind because it got me a little bit back on track. I'm not fully there yet. It's not going to just take one thing, but like, I don't want to live in a life where I feel like I'm all alone, you know? I just don't. So that is where I am at today. So then that was at like 10 or 10:30. Then I tried to fall back asleep. I couldn't. So I finally just like got up. And then Caroline had texted me by that point that she was going to be running late. And so anyway, I just got up, got ready, did some stuff around the house. So I'm going on about 2.5 hours of sleep right now. You guys are like, that's probably why I don't know. I'm just going to kind of leave what I said out there, and you guys can make of it what you want. You don't have to agree with it. You can completely think it's total buffoonery, or you can be like, yeah, I relate, or no, you don't, or whatever. It's where I'm at today. I think I learned from other people's stories. You know, one of the things that was helpful for me last night was sitting and listening to 10 other people talk about their concept of a higher power and what that, or God, or what that does for them. And you know what? All of us were completely different on our feelings and belief systems about that. That's what's so helpful about, I think that's one of the things that makes me sad about the world today, is that we've stopped listening to other people's stories and experiences. Or when somebody shares their story experience, we say, no, that's not true. We take away somebody's power of their story because we say that's not true. When you can't, you can't, like, are you disagreeing with my experience of what I've gone through? You know, if I say I'm happy and somebody says you're not happy, how do you know how I feel inside? If somebody says, well, you're not this, I am what I say I am what I feel like I am, you know, but we've stopped listening to people's stories. I don't know about you, but the greatest way that I've learned about this world is by listening to people's stories and not thinking that I have everything right, because there's been a lot in this world that I've gotten wrong, a lot. And it's important for me to listen to other people's stories, even if it doesn't feel like, if I don't connect with it on a deep level, like if it's like, okay, they share their story and I'm like, that's not it. I'm not talking about people with different backgrounds. Then I think it's important to listen to their story. But like me sharing about a 12-step program, do you know how many people are in 12-step programs? Millions. Mine is just one story. I'm not a representative of a 12-step program. I'm just one member of one 12-step program. You might hear, like I said about last night, 10 different people sharing 10 different experiences about their higher power. You know, you might hear a million different experiences. But isn't that what's so cool about this world? Is listening to other people's stories and their experiences, instead of dumbing it down to, I hope I get the most likes, I hope I get the most views, I hope I convince the most people. What's the point of all that? That's boring, isn't it? I like to hear other people's opinions and stories and all that kind of stuff, you know, and points of view. I learn from that all the time, you know? It was so great to get in the car with my best friend last night and her not being like, are you okay? Like, I don't need that. You know what I mean? Like, I shared what I shared, you know, and I said that to her and she's like, well, let people worry about you. If people want to worry about you, that's okay. That means they care about you. And I go, I know, but I just wanted to kind of share about it. And then she's like, you know, Tanya said, I'm really glad that you shared that. Because I think that there's many of us that feel like we've gone through stuff at times in our life before where she's like, I'm kind of surprised you didn't get there sooner if you want to know the truth. And I was like, what do you mean? And she goes, there's been so many times in my life, Peter, she goes, you know, where I stood there and I thought, where are you, God? Like, where are you? She was like, so, you know, I hope that you get the answers that you need. That's what I feel like I'm so grateful for, the people that I have in my life, that I can share that way. I'm grateful for you guys. You know, it was like, I didn't necessarily want to get on here and share this story because, number one, I thought people are going to think I'm crazy. Because they're going to be like, oh, he believes in falling shit. That means God. I don't know. It's a coincidence. It's God. I don't know what it is. It's the wind. It's whatever. A mouse. Who knows? But the other thing is, I didn't want to push anybody away that has different belief systems than I do, you know? But can't we all exist in a way like that we're not hurting each other and we're maybe sharing with each other, you know? Like, you know, I don't know. It's interesting. Like, my husband's an atheist, and I've been a very spiritual person for a very long time, and it's never caused any... That specific thing has never caused any problems in our relationship. In fact, he'll say to me, my husband, that's an atheist, that does not believe in prayer, he'll say, babe, do you think you need to pray on this? You know? Like, I told him that I was going through this the other day, and he goes, that's got to be pretty scary. And he's not a spiritual person. He has no God in his life. And I said, it is scary. And he goes, I can't imagine the majority of your, you know, sobriety feeling like you had God in your corner, and now you feel like you're not even sure if that's true, that you feel alone in that, you know, on a spiritual level. I mean, he gets it, and he doesn't believe in any of that. That's where I feel like we can help each other out by listening to each other's stories. I don't know what's happened. I feel like something, it's all about viral comments and viral this and viral that. It's just like, I'm bored of it. I'm bored of it. You know, like, even on my drama channel, just because I share an opinion, it's just one opinion. And it's not even typically right sometimes, you know? It's just one opinion. Over here, it's just one story. I'm just one story. you know, out of millions and millions of, hundreds of millions of people in the world. I'm just one story. Doesn't make it right. Doesn't make it the perfect one. It's just one story. But how cool would it be if we started listening to each other's stories instead of just always thinking we were right about something, you know? I've been there in my life before when I thought, the camera stopped. I've been there in my life before when I thought that I was right, you know? Which was when I had sponsors and people that I love that were reminding me, would you rather be happy or would you rather be right? It's not important for me to be that right about things. It just isn't. But it is important for me to be happy, joyous, and free. So anyway, thank you for listening to that. I appreciate it. I know it went a little bit longer than I thought it would, but I had to kind of give the backstory to all of that. Sharing it and talking out loud about it is really helping me. Last night really helped. Talking to Tanya really helped. Sharing on here tonight is really helping, and I really appreciate it. So, I don't know. My fear is that I'm going to push people away. So I hope that doesn't push anybody away. You don't ever have to believe the things that I believe in for us to be able to, like, have a conversation. Feel free to share whatever you want to share in the comment section below. Yeah, I just, you know, like, that's always my fear, is that I don't want somebody to feel, like, offended by what I say and whatever, you know? Like, just because you believe one thing doesn't mean that I have to, and just because I believe one thing doesn't mean that you have to, and we don't have to agree on everything, but can't we have a conversation about it? That's what I wish of the world. So anyway, let's now do the press conference. Caroline picked me up today. We didn't really have a lot to do, in all honesty. We ran a couple errands that she needed to do. Then I went to the post office. I had one card at the post office, which, to be honest with you, I was kind of thankful for because the line was so long at the post office today. So, went to the post office, and then afterwards we went to Costco, and Caroline was looking for Christmas presents for, like, these girls' dinners that she's doing. So she was, like, looking for packages of, like, lip balms that she could put, like, one in each pack. I was like, you're just buying stuff to buy stuff. Like, this is, like, what? And she's like, well, what do you think I should do? And I said, I don't know. Not. She goes, I'm just going to go to Trader Joe's. And I was like, I think that would be great, because she loves doing the Trader Joe's bags, and she picks out different stuff. So we went to Costco. I got mouthwash at Costco because we were out of it. And they have the 3 thing of the alcohol-free, whatever, crust or whatever. I don't know what brand it is, but I love that mouthwash. And then what else did I buy at Costco? Oh, I bought a James Patterson book at Costco. A paperback. The hardback. They have a hardback too, but it's Alex Cross one. And I'm not starting those till January. And then, what else did I get? I got one other thing. I don't remember what else I got. Oh, Aleve. I was out of Aleve, so I got that. And then we went to Trader Joe's, and she got a bunch of stuff that she needed to get at Trader Joe's for all this kind of stuff, and then we were done. We went somewhere else. She wanted to go to Dollar Tree to get gifts, and then she decided she didn't want to. And then we got stuck in traffic for a while. It was kind of nice just riding around. Got coffee earlier. Nothing special, just got regular coffee. But it was nice. It was nice to get out of the house for a little bit. It was really nice last night. Tanya and I, other than having our very serious conversation that happened at the meeting, on the way to the meeting, we just were laughing and telling stories. After, you know, the meeting, like, we kind of like a serious conversation for a little bit, and then we were laughing, and it was just fun. We were listening to music, and she played this Willie Nelson song for me. Willie Nelson and his daughter. I don't know if this album is new or not, but I tagged it. Hold on. It is Have You Ever Seen the Rain? Let me turn this down in case it starts playing. But apparently it's Willie Nelson featuring Paula Nelson. I don't know when this album came out. Let's see. Have you ever seen the rain? Okay, let's see when this album came out. It looks like it's new. Oh, October 18th or 15th of 2013. This is not new at all, Tanya G. She's like, have you heard this new album? It is not new at all. Oh no, because it's got Will You Remember, and that has Loretta Lynn on it. What else is on here that I love? Faraway Places, Always on My Mind. Who is that featuring? Oh wait, I can't play it. Okay. Oh, Walking featuring Norah Jones. Huh. I might have to get this album. I like that. So we were listening to music, stopped at the gas station, got a fountain pop. It was really nice. I got a real Dr. Pepper last night. I allowed myself to have a real Dr. Pepper. It was so fun. Oh my God, do you know what I just remembered? I came home and I put it in the refrigerator. I only drank like half of it. I didn't get a huge one. I got like just a large, not an extra large. I put it in the fridge when I laid down to take a nap. I still have it in the refrigerator. Oh my God! Caroline and I did not go to Slurp or Sip or whatever, Swig today. It was too far away from wherever else where we were going. So we did not do that today. I am loving reading the Advent calendar books for any of you guys that are out there doing it. I do want to say something that somebody reached out to me. It was Mare that reached out to me. There is a scene in one of the first, I think it's the second chapter. So there's a lot of these animals in the barn. Because Mare was like, do you know if going forward, because she's like, I need to know that. There's a scene where a chicken is killed. I don't know if I mean, I'm only on the 4th chapter right now. I just finished the 4th chapter last night. So I don't know if some of these other like farm animals are killed or anything like that. I do want to say that because she was like, you might want to let people know about that. So I don't know going forward. I mean, I'm only on the 4th chapter, but I just want to make you aware of that that's in there. Because I know that a lot of people are really sensitive to that. So anyway, I have no idea. I am really having fun reading. The chapters have gotten really short with that one, but I texted Nikki earlier because on these different Facebook groups that I'm on, like, they're going crazy. It's like, so this Facebook group, it has the book, and it says, for those who have already finished 25 days, and then the next one says, why must this be so good? I want to continue but can't. And they have this December 4th picture on here, we can't see, of the next day. I mean, people are talking about it like crazy. It's interesting because I do like that one, the Per Jacobson one, 25 days. But the other one that I bought, Xmas Break, it's not broken down into days. It's just 25 chapters. That story is kind of a little bit more interesting to me. If you want to binge read a good Christmas story, it's about a girl and her sister, a woman and her sister, and they don't get along. I think it has something to do with, like, the parents died and one got the inheritance and the other one didn't, or something like that. Oh, Tanya Jean's calling me right now. I'll call her as soon as I get done here. And so the one sister invites her to this, like, cabin in the mountains. It's, like, gorgeous and all glass and everything like that. But they don't get along. And so they haven't really talked since their mom passed away. I'm only on chapter, 4, like I said. And so it's each chapter day. Excuse me. And so it's like their significant partners are with them, and it's like building tension and whatever. I actually really like that one. Neither one of them are that fantastically written, I will tell you that. But it is fun reading that. And I am keeping up with Maximum Ride, the James Patterson book. Although last night I didn't read 20 chapters, I read 15 chapters last night. But I'm keeping up with that, and I'm really enjoying it. So I'm trying to finish that by the end of the week. And then I'm still doing the Paula Hawkins book, but I'm just like, I'm having such a hard time just sitting there and listening to it while I'm sitting there. But, so yeah, went with Tanya last night. That was good to get out of the house for a little while. I find myself that when I'm gone for a while, though, like, I'm ready kind of to get home. Like, today with Caroline, like, it was fun, but, like, around, like, the 2-hour mark, I was like, I'm kind of ready to get home. It's weird, because you think I'm home and I'm stuck at home all the time, that I'd be like, I want to, like, be out longer. Like, if at Caroline's house and, like, Alex's aunt and uncle's house for Thanksgiving, like, it was fun being over there for longer. But, like, just being out, like, at some point, I'm just kind of like, I'd rather just kind of, like, be home and be cozy and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah. The bed is made. Did I tell you guys this last night? So, I have the two, what do you call it? I might have said this in the vlog last night. I have the two Christmas tree pillows on each thing. Alex brought a white pillow up, a Christmas pillow, put it in the middle, and then put both Christmas trees next to it. It looks much better. And a lot of people recommended that I take the Sherpa or fleece blanket and turn it over so it's all white. I looked at it today to do that. It looks cheesy. It looks super cheap. The blanket does not look like the blanket that I ordered online. That's part of the problem, okay? It was supposed to look like this very cool print. It just looks cheap. I actually looked at Costco today for another blanket, so I don't know. I don't love that blanket anyway. So I might just, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. The other fleece blankets that I have in the basement, I think the one I got at Costco, it's like blue and white or gray and white. I might bring that one up. By the way, I will tell you that at Costco right now, I'm thinking about buying it for the, like, after January. Costco right now has a faux fur comforter and 2 pillow shams that are fry, like the boots. And they're like brown, gray, and then there's like this fry, and they're not too expensive. It's like $60 for like a California king or a king size, like, comforter and 2 pillow shams, which that's not bad at all. And it's faux fur and it's very thick. Very comfy too. And then there's a body pillow, and I think it's fry, but it was like $10.99. And I told Caroline, I was like, oh my God, that would look so beautiful. Alex would love that. So I didn't get it today, but I'm thinking if we go back to Costco next week, I might get it and then just save it till January and put it on for January. So instead of all the other bedding. I love bedding so much. It makes me happy. Yesterday was so hard. It was so weird because I was talking to Tanya about it. She's like, I totally get it because you and Boo always, like, and the dogs always, and you guys did too. You guys were so sweet. And the comments over there were really sweet. People were like, well, Boo was always jumping around in the background and you guys would put the sheets up together. There were so many comments. You guys, when I was talking about Boo yesterday and also in that video, people were so nice. Somebody said something that was funny. Like, all the comments were so nice, but one comment that somebody said really stuck out to me, and they were like, it's not a comment that you would think that, like, would stuck out to me, but it was like, even though, like, you know, Boo passed around your favorite holiday, here going out, you always have your favorite little ghost, like Boo. And I don't know why that comment, like, it really made me smile. So many of the comments yesterday just were so beautiful and so nice, both on that bedding video and on my vlog, and I'm just forever grateful for you guys. You know, this is just such a safe place for me, and I love to come over here and share what's going on with me, and so many of you share, and I had so many people that reached out to me. I had people share and reach out to me, but, like, I totally get you on the Uber thing. Like, I'm, you know, at home too, and a lot of people share personal stories about why they don't, like, want to, that people don't get it. They're like, just take an Uber, go somewhere, and they're like, no, I totally get where you're coming from. A lot of people are like, I get, like, wanting to leave the house, but also not wanting to leave the house for too long. A lot of people said that. So many people have reached out to me about grief and shared their own stories, and not just with animals like pets, but, like, you know, with children that they've lost or spouses and whatever, and been, like, talked and shared with me, like, stories of their grief. And I think that that's so powerful, you know, that instead of, like, it being like a competition, like somebody's grief is worse than others, which, you know, I lost a dog. That's nothing in comparison to somebody losing a son or a daughter, a husband, a wife, a mother, or a father. There's no comparison to that whatsoever, right? But instead of people feeling like it's a competition, people have reached out to me and said things like, I lost my husband. A lot of the feelings that you're feeling, I totally relate to. And I'm like, this is not like losing a husband. And it's like the generosity that you guys have, like, reached out to me. And so many people have shared with me, like, have lost their pets as well. I don't know. It just has made me feel less alone. And I really, really appreciate that. And I'm so grateful that I have this place to come to every single day. So with that, I know this has been a little bit more of a serious vlog. Tomorrow, I will be filming on all of my channels, hopefully. Watch, I'll wake up at like 3 o'clock or something like that. No, I'm planning on filming on almost all my channels tomorrow and the vlog. And it's supposed to be very cold outside, so we'll bundle up. Somebody said to me the other day, they were like, where's the heated vest for your vlogs? And I was like, where is the heated vest for my vlogs? The heated vest is in the closet. I haven't even brought it out yet this year. So maybe tomorrow I will bring out the heated vest and we can sit outside for a long vlog, unless Alex has something that he's doing, but I don't think he does tomorrow night. And then I will sit inside again. But, I mean, if I can sit inside in the warmth, I'm going to choose that over sitting outside in the cold. But we'll just kind of play it by ear tomorrow. So I like to sit here too and, like, do this with the computer, the edge of the computer. Can you guys see? My computer that I need a new one. But anyway, thank you guys for all the love and support. It means a lot to me. I really appreciate it. And I hope that you guys are having a magically amazing Wednesday. If nobody else has told you this today, I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye. Love ya.